Hello and welcome to a new edition of our program Voices of the Continent. And in this edition of the program we are going to review some reports and stories from the African continent, but our main focus will be the outbreak of Ebola virus in the Democratic Republic of Congo and its impact on the African continent in general. But first we'll go for a short break and we'll be back with some stories from the African countries, so stay tuned. And welcome back. The Capacity Building Alliance of Sustainable Investment in partnership with Bank of Africa and supported by Casablanca France City Authority successfully concluded the two-day forum in Casablanca. About 250 participants from 39 jurisdictions joined on site and online to explore sustainable finance and green technologies in support of Africa's resilient growth and sustainable future. Board member of the Bank of Africa stressed that Africa should not merely be a beneficiary of global sustainable finance, it must become one of its leading contributors. And Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger have jointly commenced the official procedures to withdraw from the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court. The decision follows a joint declaration by the three member states of the Alliance of Sahel States, citing concerns over the court lack of impartiality and polarization. The ICC warned that the withdrawals could weaken global efforts to ensure accountability for genocide, war crimes and crimes against humanity. The three governments reaffirmed their commitment to upholding justice and accountability through national and regional mechanisms. And the climate change is placing growing pressure on the Africa's electricity grids as rising temperatures drive higher demand for cooling and for water. Experts say modernizing the power infrastructure and expanding off-grid solutions are key to improving climate resilience. In northern Ghana, the conflict-affected town of Boko has emerged as an unexpected leader in clean mobility, with residents increasingly relying on electric bikes after restrictions were imposed on petrol sales. And the famous pink flamingos that has long defined Kenya's Rift Valley are fading in both color and numbers as changing lake conditions threaten their fragile ecosystem. Scientists add the scarcity of food and microscopic bacteria which gives flamingo birds their distinctive pink feathers indicates that their population has fallen sharply. Experts say they don't only forced to lose their color but are also forced to migrate in search of more suitable habitats. Researchers say flamingos are acting as an early warning system for broader environmental change. Rising lake levels, shifting rainfall patterns, pollution and increasing human activity are all placing pressure on the wetlands that support one of Africa's most iconic wildlife spectacles. And after several penalty shootouts, drama and controversy, the Atlas Lions changed tactics after the break and got more aggressive. That resulted in a pair of Azedine Kunai goals and stoppage time dagger from Soufiane Rahimi. It is the first time for an African team to reach the quarter-finals in back-to-back World Cups. Morocco will play either France or Paraguay in the quarter-final match in Boston on 9th of July. Morocco's position as the primary football hub for Africa and an emerging global center for the sport. This status is driven by elite infrastructure investment, including Mohammed Football Complex and the upcoming Grand Stade Hassan II, and FIFA's decision to open its first permanent African headquarters in Rabat.
From the Roman ruins of Volubilis of cities of Fez, Marrakesh, Meknes and Rabat, Morocco has been a crossroad of Phoenicians, Arabs, Berbers, Africans and Europeans for over 12 centuries. Morocco is a land where the geographical diversity perfectly mirrors its cultural richness. The captivating country of West North Africa is the only African nation with coastlines on both the Atlantic Ocean and the Mediterranean Sea, and it is separated from Spain by the Strait of Gibraltar. Its large mountainous area spans to the Sahara Desert in the far south, unfolding the Atlas Mountains stretching from central north to the southwest. The Moroccan architecture, with its mountainous and desert terrain, reflects its rare nature, craftsmanship and historical charm. Casablanca, Morocco's economic capital, has a rich urban history as its fascinating buildings stand at variance. Morocco's sandy beaches, sunshine, forests, diverse environments and rich cultural heritage gives it outstanding potential for tourism. As for economy, Morocco has self-sufficiency in food production as it produces 2/3 of the grains, chiefly wheat, barley and corn, needed for consumption. Meanwhile, Morocco exports lots of fruits and vegetables to European countries. Thanks to its Western Sahara, Morocco possesses 2/3 of the world's reserves of phosphates used for the manufacture of fertilizers and other products. Morocco is rapidly modernizing and enjoys a rising standard of living. Meanwhile, in a historic announcement, UNESCO has designated Rabat in Morocco as the World Book Capital 2026, recognizing the country's rich literary heritage and ongoing commitment to promoting reading, art, literature, music and cultural development. The new town Ville Nouvelle, master planned in the early 20th century, is recognized as one of the most ambitious built in Africa.
Welcome back, dear viewers, and as we said earlier that our main topic today is the outbreak of Ebola virus in the Democratic Republic of Congo. The DRC enrolled its first patient on a Thursday, marking milestone in efforts to combat the epidemic, citing an attack on an Ebola treatment center in Ituri province, in which 2 people died as a sign of ongoing difficulties in tackling the spread of the disease. And a rapid test would let health workers get results on the spot, which would help them identify and isolate cases and better contain the ongoing outbreak. More in the coming report.
The Congo enrolled its first patient on Thursday, marking a milestone in efforts to combat the epidemic, citing an attack on an Ebola treatment center in Ituri province, in which 2 people died as a sign of ongoing difficulties in tackling the spread of the disease. A rapid test would let health workers get results on the spot, which would help them identify and isolate cases and better contain the ongoing outbreak. Meanwhile, France's health minister on Saturday confirmed that a doctor who had tested positive for Ebola in the first such case on French territory has recovered and left the hospital. The doctor tested positive after flying to France on June 23 from the DRC. The health minister announced that the physician left the medical establishment and returned home. According to the UNPD, the outbreak could cost the continent up to $306 billion and put more than 300,000 jobs at risk if the situation worsens. Health authorities and international partners continue efforts to contain the virus and prevent further transmission. The number of confirmed Ebola cases in the Democratic Republic of the Congo has increased to 1,502, including 473 deaths. The cases were reported in the eastern provinces of Ituri, North Kivu and South Kivu.
Kwame Nkrumah was the Ghanaian nationalist who led the Gold Coast to independence from Britain in the year 1957, making Ghana the first sub-Saharan African nation to achieve independence from colonial rule. He served as the country's first prime minister and later its first president, remaining in power until he was overthrown in a military coup in 1966. Born in Nkroful in the Gold Coast, Nkrumah trained as a teacher before pursuing higher education in the United States. He studied at Lincoln University and the University of Pennsylvania, where he became active in Pan-African politics and later helped organize the 5th Pan-African Congress in Manchester in 1945. Returning home in 1947, Nkrumah joined the United Gold Coast Convention before founding the Convention People's Party in the year 1949. Through his campaign of positive action, which combined strikes, nonviolent protests, and civil disobedience, he mobilized widespread public support for independence. Although imprisoned by the British colonial authorities, his party won the 1951 elections, leading to his release and the appointment as leader of the government business before becoming prime minister. On March 6, 19...
Welcome back, dear viewers, and as we said earlier, that Ebola outbreak in the DRC is our main topic for today, and now we are joined by Dr. Maysa Shawky, Professor of General Health. Good afternoon, Dr. Maysa. Good afternoon, Dr. Maysa. Yes, can you hear me?
Hello?
Yes.
Hello, yes?
Yes, Dr. Maysa, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, dear.
So, Doctor, now as we are tackling the Ebola outbreak in the DRC, can you tell us more about this disease and its symptoms and how it gets transferred?
Well, the disease is caused by a certain type of virus, viruses. It's the Ebola virus. It's one of the hemorrhagic fevers, and it could be both imported, one of the imported infections, or it can come due to secondary transmissions among contacts and healthcare workers. And this is the serious part of the story, is that people could get infected and transmit the virus in early stages of the disease before the appearance of symptoms. And therefore, this will necessitate a lot of regional preparedness to safeguard against the widespread of the virus.
So,
I would like also to note that there has been an Ebola virus like in the end of the 90s in Africa, and it took like 3 or 4 years to contain the disease.
Yes, Dr. Maysa, why is Ebola now being viewed as a health crisis, not only as a health crisis, but an economic threat?
Well, because there are going to be restrictions on the traveling and the transportation of goods related to food between countries. So it could have an impact on the economy.
Yes. So,
and also its high morbidity. Its high morbidity is really serious.
So, Doctor, how could the outbreak neighboring countries, even if the virus remained largely contained? Do you think it is threatening the neighboring countries?
It is threatening the neighboring countries, of course, because one case could transmit disease to thousands before the appearance of symptoms. And therefore, there must be a public health response in the affected countries, whether we're speaking about Congo, Uganda, and people going, you see, flights will transfer the disease much faster, the way we had the problem with the last epidemic or the last pandemic for COVID.
And what role are the international organizations, including the UN and the World Health Organization, playing in response?
Well, the WHO has initiated a rapid assessment tool, and it's already distributed worldwide and present on the website with the advice for the countries what to technically do, with temporary recommendations and permanent recommendations for crossing the borders, especially so, and a continuous surveillance for the passengers and the goods between countries and each other. And there is a daily update about the epidemiological outbreak in certain countries, of course, like Congo and Uganda. And there is a weekly update for all countries around the world. And all countries are also encouraged to report cases.
So, Doctor, also, what additional measures should the government take now to protect both public and the economic stability also of the country?
Well, the most important now is to contain the disease in the countries where it has already started with the cautious flights in and out of these countries and medical surveillance in the airports and in the traveling spots to detect early cases. Ebola virus is a hemorrhagic virus. It's rapidly fatal. Children and elderly people are going to be seriously affected at the very front, and I think also those who have immunological compromises and autoimmune diseases will be seriously affected. So we are all the time, from the medical point of view, checking about the elderly and children and immunocompromised categories.
Yes. So, Dr. Maysa, also, Ebola outbreak is a wake-up call that indicates a fragile immunity system, unhealthy lifestyle, the role of stress in our life. How can we manage to increase our, make a better immune system?
Well, you pointed out to the healthy lifestyle, where we are speaking about healthy nutrition and no junk, with sufficient amounts of vegetables and fruits on a daily basis, and canceling out the junk and having enough physical activity, whether it is walking or it is physical training, getting enough sleep, control of stress, everyday life. All these, they are adherent together, and they yield important improvements on the immune system that protects each one against the infections and yields the best outcome even when it happens.
And looking ahead, what does this outbreak reveal about the need to invest in stronger and more resilient healthcare systems across Africa?
Well, this is largely dependent on countries and how would they invest in the health infrastructure. But I would like to point that Egypt has a strong health system. It's outstretched all over the governorates in Egypt, and we have fever hospitals in each governorate, and this was skeptically a very important point during the COVID pandemic.
Yes.
So investment in the health infrastructure is very important, and also the supportive role of the WHO can never be missed, because the WHO is announcing on daily basis updates about Ebola, and countries are abiding by the rules and the recommendations.
And what lessons have the African countries learned from the previous Ebola outbreaks that could help them limit both the health and the economic impacts?
Well, the learned lessons are a lot, targeting the elderly and the young children, targeting the immunocompromised, reporting and the safety of reporting. People are also benefiting from this. So I don't think anymore that people are going to hide cases here and there. To the contrary, they are going to seek medical help and report, notify the health systems that there are cases appearing.
And how can we prevent such a virus from reaching our borders?
I said, this is very important, the surveillance system. Yeah, very important.
Yes. Can we take any security, safety measures to prevent?
No, it's the health authorities install surveillance and screening checks in the airports and the points of entry, whether it is entrance by car or by train or by whatever, and they start screening people for temperature, number one, and then after screening for temperature, they investigate cases. This is the fastest mode of detecting infections.
Yes. Finally, I'd like to thank you, Dr. Maysa Shawky, a professor of general health. Thank you, Doctor. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Maysa, for being with us. And by that, we come to the end of today's edition of our program, Voices of the Continent. And in this edition of the program, we reviewed some reports and stories from the African continent, and we tackled the issue of Ebola outbreaks in the DRC and its economic impact on Congo and on the African continent. And thank you for being with us.